Imagine walking, not just for a few miles or a few days, but for literal generations. Picture a world long before cars, ships, or even tamed horses ever existed. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going back to the absolute beginning of human movement to understand our ancient paths to global settlement.
You know, this whole epic journey started in Africa, where our earliest ancestors evolved. But here's the thing, they weren't some intrepid explorers packing their bags for a grand holiday. No, they were chasing survival, not adventure. Our ancestors were simply driven by the absolute basic necessity of following animal herds, finding fresh water, and gathering edible plants. It was a very slow, very gradual drift out of our earliest home.
Part 1. The Great Wonder begins. The first steps out of Africa.
70,000 years ago. Just let the massive weight of that timeline sink in for a second. Around 70,000 years ago, some groups of our ancestors made the monumental crossing out of Africa and into the Middle East.
Part 2. Splitting across the continents, branching outward.
So here's exactly how this unfolded. Step 1 was that initial movement out of Africa. Step 2 was the arrival into the Middle East. And then step 3, well, this is where small groups of humans truly branched out, splitting outward into Europe and pushing incredibly deep into the vast expanse of Asia, moving in basically every conceivable direction.
Part 3. The Ice Age Pathways. Frozen Land Bridges.
Now, this era was completely defined by a dramatic environmental factor called Beringia. This was a massive land bridge connecting Siberia to Alaska. You see, during the Ice Age, so much of the Earth's water was frozen into massive ice sheets that global sea levels dropped dramatically. And when those waters receded, they exposed underwater land bridges, making it entirely possible to literally walk between continents.
I really want you to think about this. Imagine standing at the edge of Siberia and crossing this frozen, windswept expanse entirely on foot. Our ancestors were literally walking with mammoths. They trailed these massive beasts and other large game across the ice, surviving freezing, brutal conditions, and eventually spreading all the way down through North and South America. I mean, it is just a staggering feat of human endurance.
Part 4. Sailing to Australia. The Open Water Voyage.
Meanwhile, on the exact opposite side of the world, a completely different kind of journey was taking place. On one hand, you have the Beringia crossing, walking over frozen land bridges and following game. But on the other hand, you have the Australian voyage. Ancient humans built simple rafts and boats, hugging coastlines and island hopping across open water to reach Australia. This ocean crossing required navigating entirely unpredictable seas, tens of thousands of years before anyone even conceived of a compass or a map. It's wild to think about.
Part 5. A generational survival journey, moving one step at a time.
Let's zoom in for a second on the intimate, day-to-day reality of the ancient humans making this trek. Like, how did they actually survive? Well, their survival kit was incredibly primal. They carried fire, simple stone tools, and vital knowledge passed down through generations. Remember, these were not casual road trips we're talking about. These were grueling, slow drifts. It often took hundreds or even thousands of years for a population to spread from one region to the next.
So it was really a process of, with each generation pushing just a little further than the last. It wasn't one single hero walking all the way from Africa to South America. It was a family walking a few miles, building a life, and then their great-grandchildren moving a few miles further. Just a beautiful, agonizingly slow relay race across the entire Earth.
Part 6. Covering the entire globe. The end of the Ice Age.
So the ancient climate eventually shifted once more, basically closing the doors on the pathways our ancestors used for millennia. First, we had the Ice Age peak, where those land bridges allowed for massive global crossings. Then, the Ice Age ends and global temperatures rise. And finally, the seas rise, and Beringia, along with other land bridges, is completely swallowed back up by the ocean. But here is the truly incredible part. By the time those icy bridges vanished beneath the waves, humans had already reached nearly every corner of the globe.
So what does our global settlement reveal about human curiosity, necessity, and sheer persistence? I think it proves that, driven by the simple, undeniable need to survive, we pushed forward to anywhere the Earth allowed. The next time you look at a globe, I really hope you remember the incredible, slow, 70,000-year walk that got us all here.